It is the day after the Count Dankula event, the liberalist protest in support of free speech. I am getting ready to leave, and as you're watching this video, I will be on a plane heading back to New York. But there's another American here.
Hello.
Ashton Birdie, and I found it particularly interesting. We talked a little bit on my live stream, but you're an American. You were here. You actually bullhorned, swore a little bit, and so I want to. we're gonna talk with Ashton and just understand her perspective as an American conservative coming to this event for Count Dankula. Before we get started, make sure you go to youtube.com/Timcast, click that subscribe button, then click the bell, then click all, because that's every step you have to do to ensure that YouTube actually shows you my videos when I make them. I can't believe it's this complicated. YouTube, get your act together. More importantly, if you want to support my work, go to patreon.com/Timcast and become a patron today. There are many different tiers to choose from, most notably tier 1 at $10 per month. You get access to behind the scenes photos and videos when available. This is usually when I'm out in the field. When you support me on Patreon, you help me do the work that I do, so please consider giving at whatever level you feel comfortable today. So who are you?
I am Ashton, and I have a channel on YouTube called Ashton Birdie, and I am a conservative from Berkeley.
A conservative from Berkeley?
Yes.
It sounds oxymoronic.
Yeah.
Like, so, well, actually, let's start there. Why? What's it like being a conservative in Berkeley? Berkeley is considered by so many people to be not just a liberal capital of some sort, but really, really left.
Right. Well, you know, it's obviously, it's quite an interesting place. I grew up there. I was born and raised in Berkeley, California. I can tell you nearly every nook and cranny of the entire city. My entire family is very left, as you would assume, to the point where they're mostly socialist. And because I am conservative, they have completely exiled me.
Your family?
Yes.
What about, you have to have friends. I mean, you grew up with people in Berkeley, right?
Well, most of my childhood friends no longer talk to me.
Because you're conservative?
Yes.
Oh my God. There was, I can't remember who it was, but someone tweeted out advocating, saying, if your family or friends are Trump supporters, stop supporting them, disavow them. When
I was at the Women's March in Las Vegas, getting actually a lot of information from there, it was really interesting how many speeches included women saying if you have a family member who is, you know, not even just a Trump supporter, does not agree with certain leftist ideas, to completely exile them. They said it was our job to get uninvited from Thanksgiving and Christmas.
That was part of the protest.
Yes.
That scares me, because you don't make the world a better place by dividing people. You make the world a better place by understanding and communicating and sharing ideas, right?
Well, the thing is, the left, I've noticed a lot of people on the far, far left, is that they don't believe in family values. As you see, the father figure, the mother figure is constantly attacked, whether it be from feminists. Well, yeah, feminists.
There you go.
But it really comes down to the fact that they don't believe in family values or traditional values. They treat their families like cults, just as, you know, feminism and Black Lives Matter, they're like cults in a sense. So is a leftist family. And so politics to them comes before blood. So I was essentially exiled by my entire family, as well as losing many friendships. But I think that's really what pushed me to do what I do now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, personally, I think your opinion on the left family being a cult comes from your personal experience.
Right.
You know, so when you tell me that you were exiled, I'm like, how much of that is an exaggeration, or is it really that bad?
It really is that bad. So yeah, I have had issues where my mother won't speak to me anymore. I'm allowed to see my sister. I wasn't allowed to see her on her birthday. I've spent nights homeless. I've faced a lot of abuse from my dad's girlfriend, as well as losing many friendships from as early as 2 years old. So I've definitely...
You were a 2-year-old conservative?
No, but I've lost like friendships that go back to...
Okay. I was like, come on. Oh, no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, you know, I did kind of feel sort of different when it came to my values. Not even just politically, just in a sense of how I saw the world. I was kind of, I guess you could say, red-pilled at an early age. I started watching Alex Jones at 13 years old. I always say that Alex Jones is the reason I am who I am.
Alex Jones is a bit out there, though. I mean, there are people who, you know, isn't this interesting? There are people affiliated with InfoWars that I would say aren't that bad. And InfoWars I got a lot of flack for this when I pointed out that InfoWars actually does send reporters on the ground. Do you know how many news organizations don't do that? But Alex Jones specifically, like not the rest of InfoWars, Alex Jones specifically, he's out there, right? You know, he talked about like Sandy Hook being a hoax. Now he's getting sued for it. Now he's saying,
okay, hold on. He didn't say Sandy Hook was a hoax. He said parts of Sandy Hook were hoaxes. That the facts that were being put out about Sandy Hook were hoaxes. He didn't say Sandy Hook was a hoax. Those are two completely different concepts.
Okay. So you like Alex Jones? You like InfoWars? I'm not saying
absolutely. I think Alex Jones has, you know, he is the reason I am who I am. Maybe me and him may disagree on some things, but he, majority of the wise, I trust him more than most mainstream media.
You know what's funny is there's a lot of people in the mainstream media who use like anything affiliated with InfoWars is crazy, it's wrong, it's absolutely incorrect. And I understand that opinion because at the same time there are people who think the inverse, that the mainstream media is always wrong, incorrect, lying, conspiratorial, etc. And then what I find particularly interesting is, look, I'll just say it. Personally, when it comes to Alex Jones's show, I wouldn't trust him. Yeah, that's fine. You can if you want. Don't, you have to take my opinion. I'm just another person. But there are people associated with InfoWars that I think are on-the-ground reporters who I don't think have lied. But then at the same time, when I look at these big media companies and they put out stories that are questionable, I'm just like, I'm not surprised.
When we were preparing to strike in Syria, the media was focused on Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. It's like priorities.
And Alex Jones has predicted things and pointed out things that no one really looked into until 2 years later. He always got things 2 years prior. He predicted so many major events 2 years prior, if not more.
Yeah. Actually, interestingly, I hate to drag Luke into this because I don't want to imply that Luke Rudkowski is anyway affiliated with Alex Jones. Like they used to be a little bit, I think. But in a similar fashion, Luke from We Are Change on YouTube, he made a video 5 years ago where he talked about what was going to happen in Syria over the next few years, and he's getting in trouble with YouTube because of that, because he was actually able to put a video out saying, like, here's what we can see happening. So anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to make with this is that there are a lot of alternative media figures who have been correct when it comes to outlining what they see happening with war and foreign policy, who have been attacked heavily by the mainstream,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit now about, we'll come back to the family and friends thing, but I do want to talk about why you're here in the UK.
Well,
you're an American.
Yeah.
Count Dankula is Scottish, but you were bullhorning about free speech, and I mean, why?
I don't think I've ever cussed in front of a camera before until yesterday. I think what's going on in the UK right now is a serious issue because everything that happens in Europe tends to happen in America a few years later. So right now they're having a serious immigration issue. We're facing an immigration issue in California where we are a full-on sanctuary state. They are now facing a free speech issue where someone is going to, would have gone to jail for teaching his dog how to do a trick.
Well, he was arrested, charged, convicted.
Yeah.
I think, one thing that was important with the protest was that people were pointing out it's not the sentence. Although if he was imprisoned, it would have been serious.
It's the fact that he's being attacked for satire.
Convicted.
Something that has been done on BBC many times in many British television and movies for the same topic.
It was really interesting. I don't know if you saw this video, but the other day, a reporter was questioning Dankula, asking him, you said, I don't even want to say it because we're in the UK, but we know what Count Dankula said. But the reporter said the quote and then asked him, does he accept that he committed a crime? And Dankula looked at the reporter and said, you just committed a crime. You said the exact same thing I did. You know what I mean? Like the media is repeating it and acting like they're not doing anything wrong, but accusing Dankula of doing something wrong because they said the same thing, Did you see that video at all?
Yeah, where he said the da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
I don't even been from the country.
No, wait. So hold on. Okay. After what happened to Count Dankula, you can tell that we're sitting in a public cafe in London like we're not going to say it. I'm an American. I don't want to get kicked out of the country.
Not even. We're afraid to quote it. That's how ridiculous this is, and that's something that Count Dankula. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Because you can't deny that's not a part of what happened in history. That's what he was trying to do.
But he was
taking something that was cute, and he said, "What's the least cute thing there is? A Nazi."
He was making fun of him.
Even in the video, he said, "The least cute thing is a Nazi." He was making fun of Nazism within the video. It was satire, something no different you would see in Monty Python.
Yeah, I think someone said that a speaker, I believe, mentioned growing up with Monty Python
Yes.
and other comedians.
Ben Brown.
And there was I'm not a huge Monty Python fan, obviously.
Well, screw you.
Well, I'm not saying I don't like Monty Python. I'm saying I'm just not familiar with a ton of their stuff, other than like Holy Grail. But wasn't there like some video where they did like what's it called? Jonathan Pye did this where he like put his finger under his nose and then
They've done many episodes of Monty Python
making fun of Nazis.
Yeah, many.
So it's like why? This is Scotland. I don't want it's not like it's England, but it's part of the United Kingdom, and it's just to me it's kind of crazy to see them coming after this kind of humor when these jokes are iconic to like famous British comedy, famous Scottish comedians. You know, they're crass, offensive, and America loves it. So it's I mean, are they gonna criminalize this now? You know, we have Scottish comedians come over to the U.S. and they're awesome. So suffice it to say, based on what you did just say about Dankula and comedy, I think that explains why you came, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely, and I myself consider myself a comedian. I do political commentary, and free speech is a huge issue to me, especially being from Berkeley and watching UC Berkeley go up in flames for having Milo wanting to speak. Free speech is a huge issue right now. It's starting to grow in America. I think people in America need to pay attention to what's happening in Europe, and Count Dankula is a huge symbol of what's happening right now.
So you still live in Berkeley?
Yes.
I guess I gotta ask you why. I mean, if people... Oh, hold on, let me backtrack, because I want to say something to everybody as to why I'm sort of asking this question. In Berkeley, in the windows of businesses, are signs that say, you know, they support Antifa or they support these left-wing activities. I went to a bar that had an anti-Trump sign, and I was just talking to the bartender, and I asked them, do you guys really hate Donald Trump? You know, or is that sign in the window for a different, like, is it there for something else? And the bartender said to me, if they don't put the sign in the window, someone will smash it. That's what they're concerned about. I kid you not. There's actually in Oakland, which is not too far away, there was a sign on a Burger King window saying, this is owned by a family, please don't destroy our window. And so that scares me. When I'm in Berkeley and I see businesses putting up these signs.
People are being ostracized to believe in the same thing as everyone else. And that is how a dictatorship starts. A lot of people make fun of me because I talk about the New World Order and how, the entire world is going to go into this giant communist dictatorship. What they don't realize is that right now, when our freedom of speech and satire is being attacked, when small businesses have to put in signs to make sure they don't get attacked, we are being pushed to believe in the exact same thing as everyone else. And when everyone says and thinks exactly the same, no one is going to call out the true evil that is in the elite system that's controlling us.
You know what I find really fascinating is that one thing I can say for sure based on our conversation right now, we disagree on a lot.
Yeah.
But we agree on free speech, and I think most of us people who agree, I think even people on the left would agree that if a business is forced to put a sign in their window because they're terrified of someone coming and vandalizing their property, that's not a comfortable way to live. As an American, I mean, for me, that's worrisome. And so what I find particularly fascinating is I've always considered myself left. And I'm not a big fan of Alex Jones. You are, but we're willing to have a conversation. We're not at each other's throats.
I'm not taking a bike lock and smashing it over your head.
Exactly. And this is what bugs me so much about the conversation where people are like, the left is bad and all this stuff. I'm like, there are a lot of bad people on the left, but there are a lot of good people who consider themselves left, like the liberalists. These are center-left individuals who came out in support of free speech, and they had American conservatives joining them. So I guess the important thing I should say is that...
Well, the thing is, when I say I'm conservative, the issue with that is that I have a lot of issues with the right as well. And I'm in the sense where I feel like the left and the right are both... None of what's going on in the world is a left or right issue. I think it's very important we do say this, because people are so obsessed with Antifa versus the people in MAGA hats. And the problem with this is that when you blindly follow any politician or party, you are basically in a cult. And so, me personally, I just don't like authority. I don't like the idea of a government over me. I don't like the idea of anyone being controlled or told how to live life or what to do.
It's so crazy. You'll hear the same thing from Antifa. But there's the difference in, I really don't expect you to go around with a bike lock or a Molotov or anything like that.
And what's so interesting about this is that the more the left and the right fight, they're distracted from the very fact it should not be of a left or right issue. It's about the people versus the elite system.
Yeah, I agree. Any final thoughts? I want to do a final thought on what you said, but I'll give you if you want to say anything else before we wrap up.
I guess final thoughts is that I think it's really important that, because I'm still trying to figure out where I truly stand in politics. I'm definitely more so on the right in the idea that I don't want as much government. But I think my final thoughts in all of this is that we really need to pay attention to what's happening in the world around us and really see what is being taken away as our rights. Right now we are going through a serious issue where we have marches in the streets to try to take away our Second Amendment right now.
I mean, and the First Amendment.
Yeah, and the First Amendment.
And to a certain extent, the Fifth Amendment.
We as the American people have our Constitution's under attack right now. And you can say, oh, about the Bill of Rights, that's like our shield. But as you said before, if you keep hitting that shield, it's eventually going to weaken.
It'll break. That's scary.
And we, the American people, not even just the American people of the world, really need to pay attention to how their government sees them and how their government treats them. And they need to ask themselves, do you have the power in your country, or does your government? And is your government playing with your mind to let you not be able to succeed, but instead tolerate your life as it is? Because I feel like a lot of people are controlled to live the life that they don't want, and they believe it's an okay life because the government tells them so. And the mainstream media makes them believe that they're okay.
Well, you sound conservative. All right. Well, thanks for talking. I want to say something very briefly on the. You mentioned the elites, and I have my roots in left-wing activism, growing up, and all that stuff. And I think there is something really important that isn't said enough. What Ashton said about the elites who are actually in power. There are people who have been wealthy forever, generations upon generations, and you end up with Antifa on the left, who are poor people. Not all of them, but there are certainly a lot of people who are on the left who are working class or just poor. And then you have people on the right in the Trump hats who are working class or poor. And it is kind of frustrating to see the people who are all at the same level at each other's throats instead of focusing on the bigger...
on left and right and not who's at the very top watching from above.
Yeah.
See, they're all laughing at us from their ivory towers and we're just trying to kill each other right in front of them. We're just like a spectator sport to them. And we're letting it happen. It's like we are literally, they threw us into the lion's den with no lions, told us to fight each other because it's a left or right issue. So of course we're gonna kill each other, but what we don't see is that they're watching us from above laughing and drinking champagne.
Yeah. A bit more extreme than I would put it, but I certainly, I would say I totally agree. I'd tone it down a little bit. That's just me though, because I'm kind of a toned down person. So you guys know all that.
Well, I mean, we're the same outfit every single day, so it makes sense.
You do?
Oh, you do.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm pretty bland. But yeah, it's like, I feel like it's so interesting that there's a ton of people on the left, and I don't mean like mainstream Democrats, who are furious over military intervention in Syria, and the Trump supporters, and I'm like, man, if people just decided that you're not going to agree on everything, but if you fight for what you agree on, you will change the world. So, anyway, again, thanks for hanging out. Do you have a Twitter or YouTube you want to mention?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Ashton Birdie, ASHTONBIRDIE.
And thank you all so much for hanging out. I'm on Twitter at Timcast. Stay tuned, new videos every day at 4 p.m. As I mentioned, I filmed this in the morning, and then I'm hopping on a plane and flying back to New York, so stay tuned, and I will see you. I'm going to be in Orlando this weekend. We'll see what happens. Take care.